Good evening. Dinner time. It's been a while since we shared a meal. How do I feel? How do I feel? It's 11:30 on the 29th, so tomorrow's Monday. Tomorrow is Memorial Day. Well, to be honest, I feel how I always feel. It's like everything all at once. So much that, like, I don't know, I'll crack wide open, you know? Cry at the drop of a hat, or that doesn't really tell you much, you know? I feel a lot of anger, you know, that I wouldn't exactly say suppress. Maybe compartmentalize is more appropriate, but not exactly true. I like postpone. Expressing anger is like very demanding of other people. And with the singular exception of combat, you're always mindful of, you know, how your emotional state affects another human being, right? So I don't express anger very often. My whole life just feels like this one big fight, waiting for this one big fight that never comes. It never comes. I'm not an instigator, you know. I intervene. It's not the same thing as instigation at all. It's so hard for me to describe, I guess, what it means when I say that I'm angry. I feel angry. Maybe I just don't express emotions in the same way that other people do. I'm not cold-blooded about it. I'm not manipulative about it. I'm just, like I said, I'm very quick and, like, self-aware. So, I notice what I'm feeling as I'm kind of acting it out, you know, on like a, I don't know, split second, um, granular time frame, say. Just quicker, maybe an order of magnitude quicker than other people. And so I can kind of track how my emotions are coming out and how they're being received in the other person at like a rate, a sample rate that is much higher than other human beings. On top of that, um, no, I care more, like I'm conscious about it. Um, and because most human interactions charged, forget about the mundane for a moment, most charged exchanges of emotion uh, well, they're catalysts for change. After having gone through this kind of thing, my life, for, my entire life, after a while, like, I kind of realized it was up to me to, like, determine, like, the outcome. If I leave it to other people in good faith, they just fucking butcher it. Because most people at the, like, the social strata I live at are pretty fucking vulgar. I don't mean they curse or whatever. I don't mean their intentions are poor, but they're like very clumsy emotionally. They don't take care of the moments that they have with other people. So it's kind of up to me. And it's not just that they don't do good enough, like they just train wreck. So I'm like, fuck, alright. I want to get off these fucking train wrecks. So I avoid people or I manage them. Now, anger. I don't know. Something about this leads me to be angry with other people. That's part of what I feel and have felt for a long time. That's not even on my mind. I just started talking about it, and here we are. I feel all the feelings. So, I mean, how long do you want to do this, right? I prefer to skip all that and just give you something intimate or something real. But I can't imagine your form well enough, you know? I can imagine who I would want you to be, ideally. I do that a lot of times when I make these. I'm talking to some idealized version of something or someone. But if there's a flesh and blood human being of like this evening out there who wants to know how I feel, like that's the question I would be happiest to answer, but like I can't because I don't know who you are. So what? So how do I feel? God. Everything I think to say is just story territory that I don't. I mean, I'm not too proud. I don't. I like to hear, I guess. I like to say, but whenever I start to say these things, talk about problems or difficulties, and how I feel about them, like shut down, you know? Or people just want like the Cliff Note version of it. So how do I don't know. I feel guarded. I think that's fair to say. It's like I'm a gate that's closed, like a super heavy, or like a steel vault door, you know, like a blast door, or, you know, bank vault or whatever. But it's not locked. You know, it's not like, just you have to, it's heavy. You have to be like, maybe that's not a perfect metaphor. I don't know. I feel like if I ever open myself up in life, the first people that line up to meet me are like the worst, the people I want to meet the least. Do you, can you empathize with that at all, or like imagine? Have you gone through that? I think I think everyone does. I think there's a least greetable type of person who puts themselves at the front of the line, generically, pathologically, you know, and it kind of spoils the whole meet and greet idea for everyone. This happens in like internet chat rooms too. You know, like the loudest dipshits will be the first to like comment and set the tone. I'm irritated with I'm irritated. I feel irritated by some simple impulses in human nature. It's not even so much like the individuals that are animated by them in my life, because I know it's bigger than them. I know what it is to be cavalier, but some people are cavalier at like precisely the wrong time. Like, how do they not? And like, they don't end up punished for it. I don't mean retributively, but like, they don't get the feedback from reality, not society, but like their environment to be like, that didn't work. That's not how it's done. That's not a good way to burn your calories, you know? It's like they're subsidized by something. That makes me angry. Because there's plenty of other things that are worthwhile, actually, that ought to be subsidized with whatever resources going into that. I think I just try to solve problems when I'm upset. And I'm better at solving certain kind of problems than other ones. And I'm really good at solving like a very specific type of problem or set. And so I kind of like lean on that quite a bit. I spend a lot of time in like a very narrow. I solve problems when I'm upset. It's not the solutions that necessarily make me feel better, but like the process of problem solving, of framing an idea, of trying to figure something out for yourself. It's soothing to me. If I get frustrated, it's not. So, like I said, stick with certain kind of problems. Um, how do I feel? I feel a lot of superficial emotions. I don't mean unworthy emotions. I mean like um, outer layer emotions. How do I feel at like the core of me? I usually don't answer this because it's such a contrast. Like if my emotional world were a space, it could be like a jawbreaker. There's like a core, and then there's like the layers. And the outer layers are always changing and whatever. And I let them to like learn about myself, or just experience, just to experience them, really. And then at the core of me, like, it's very simple, very primal, not primitive necessarily, but not stupid. Maybe primitive is a good word for it. It's very prime. It's very like how I feel at my core is like, I don't know. It's like expresses in images. Like I have a desire to like, reach out and like touch your face. It's very deep. It's very abstract. There's no consideration. Or maybe it's not abstract. Maybe it's the complete opposite of it. It's like super concrete. It assumes nothing. I don't think about permission. I don't think about. It's like implicit that the feeling that generates that image is reciprocal or received. Well, that's part of the feeling. That's part of it. So I feel like that. Or I feel in ways like that. And it's very good. It's very stable. It's very me. Very undiscovered. Very undirectly expressed. It sublimates into everything that I do. And people try to tap into that and hurt that, whether it's deliberate or unintentional. I think people get a kick out of hurting me. I feel a lot of different ways about that. It has nothing to do with you, sympathetic friend. So I'm not telling you how I feel. Well, maybe that is what you want to know. I don't know. Well, I couldn't tell you here. Or I guess I could. I don't want to. Something I learned a long time ago is like, in a situation like this, or in like a real face to face, the feelings that you choose to talk about um, determine the reality of the conversation, the experience of it. You know, if you talk about angry things, it becomes an angry exchange. Like there's no metaphor there. It's um, so I feel a whole lot of things that I don't want to talk about with you, with someone in good faith, someone I care about, because I don't want to turn us, you know. It's possible, like, you know, if you have a therapist or whatever, like, they can handle it. Like, they're not, um, they're trained not to be reactive. Like, they know. But that's not who we're talking to here. Well, I guess I could, huh? I could imagine you're a therapist. Therefore, it would kind of like be an implicit um, disclaimer on my part. You know, if whatever I said sucked you into some emotional state you didn't want to be in, then like, what, you think I was fucking kidding when I warned you in good faith? Are you fucking stupid? We've already established that. You've got to be able to take that like a therapist. I don't know how much clearer I can exemplify that. It's not the same thing as being callous. You know. I do this. But I'm not a therapist, so I'm not obligated to the same rules, the same ethics don't apply to me in my personal day-to-day. How do I feel? How do I feel? Tangent. I overheard an episode of, I think it was, I don't know if it was This American Life, it might have been, but it was NPR. And like I said, I overheard this. I don't remember when or where. And I didn't hear the whole of the show, but I heard a clip of I think it may well have been, it might have been All Things Considered. I don't know. There was a guy, a psychoanalyst, I don't know his name, who psychoanalyzed himself with cassette tapes. So this was a while ago. Old Jewish guy. Yeah, you could tell by his voice, his attitude. He was hilarious. He was awesome. I don't mean he was funny. It wasn't. He was just. I liked his straight. He was very bold and yet very conscientious. It's odd to see people who are very conscientious and very bold. Old Jewish men are pretty much the vanguard of that set. I like it. I've always thought it was neat. Not everyone lives up to that. But the ones who do, A-listers, as far as I'm concerned. So this is where I got the idea. This guy, he was a therapist by trade. I don't know what his accolades were or whatever, but towards not the end of his career, but like as he was a mature man, and he noticed he was unhappy, I think. And so he's a psychoanalyst, and he's like, I do this all day for people. This is my job, and like, I don't get along with my fucking family. I notice I'm irritable all the time. Let's take a look. So, he would just describe his feelings to him, like his stream of consciousness thought into a tape recorder, and it was things like, he's like just self-reflecting. I notice I'm no fun anymore. I notice like I want to spend more time with people that I'm close to, but I don't want to. Like, I'm conflicted about things. Like, he was just like really brass tacks, and like there wasn't any shame in his voice, and there wasn't any like elative, revelatory. Like, there was no vanity. There was no shame and no vanity. It was amazing. Like, it was kind of like if you imagine you're some authority figure in your life, like your parent at one of their gruffer moments or something, stopping and turning to you and saying, "You know what? I see it your way." Not like for you to have a treat or a cake or something like that, but like if you're having, it's like the kind of like sparkle in your eyes. Like, I can't believe you. It's bigger than gratitude. It's like, oh, I got through to you. Like, it's communion. It's hard for me to describe. But this guy was, hearing this guy talk, I don't want to say admitting his flaws, because I didn't think it sounded like that at all. But like, stop bullshitting himself. I don't know. Look it up. Maybe you know what I'm talking about, or maybe you don't. But this guy began to psychoanalyze himself in that method. And it, like, I remembered it. I'd probably know his voice if I heard it. Maybe not. I'd certainly know the episode of All Things or This American. It was one of those mental note moments. I should give that a shot myself and see how that works. That just was filed away for a long time. That's how I started doing this. How do I feel? I feel frustrated that I have to invent answers for people who won't even ask me questions. Like, I feel angrily frustrated trying to figure out the rationale behind someone wanting to know something from me, yet not asking me questions. Yet occasionally, like, ribbing me in the oddest ways. I feel driven nuts. I feel driven fucking nuts. That's how I feel. So I feel preoccupied from you, kind person. I'm not thinking about. I have a lot of different kinds of people to think about. I feel overwhelmed. And like the only way to keep from actually being overwhelmed is to be a little snide, to be a little snarky, you know? I think that's kind of cool that I can do that, that something so simple would succeed. I don't feel gratified by this entry at all. I wanted to be something warm. And I feel like I could start again, but how much attention do you have, you know? Maybe I'll just talk until the battery runs out, and this will be like the longest, rambliest, most boring, the time where I talked about nothing but the immediate moment of my experience as a person. I live in two places in time. The immediate moment without anticipation, the immediate future, and the anticipation of the immediate future, like the foreseeable hour, day, week, whatever, I've wiped from my mind. I don't think about that for some reason. It's hard to explain. Not impossible, but I just don't want to get into it. And then the other place in my mind I live is like the hypothetical future. So like the period of time where I will have forgotten all this, whatever this is, this moment, you know, and look back and be like, I have changed. I'm not like that anymore. I'm in a different phase of life, or I don't. It's hard to describe. Kind of like when you're an adolescent, you imagine being an adult. Like I imagine some other time, place, you know, and I think about that, and I do think about that anticipatorily. But that brings me pleasure. So I'm always either thinking about the exact moment that I'm present in, or that distant place. So what? So I don't know. So that's one of the realities of my present experience. Am I happy? Happier than you could like ever imagine. And I can't. I'd have to show you, you know. I mean, we'd have to do something together. You'd have to feel it with me. I feel a kind of happiness that I feel like no one would possibly understand. So and attempting to talk about it just not succeed. It can take time for it to come out a little bit in poetry or writing or music, like concrete works of art. And it inspires me to learn other works of art or things that I don't have don't have an ability for. To not feel so punished by being a beginner at them. There's some, like, not feel frustrated. Some things, I don't know why, I feel frustrated when I'm not good at them. I feel like I could do anything. And that it's so much more important than, so much better. So much better than anything is bad in my life. That to stay in that place would make me like a really, well, I'd be a monk, like a real monk. Which doesn't exactly jive with, I don't know how I'd manage that. My goals wouldn't change. I would just be this happy thing. It didn't do anything. Or like just did whatever came along. You know, when you're ultimately enlightened or whatever, like, it's supposed to not want anything. It's like, actually, just the reality is, it doesn't matter what you want. It so doesn't matter what you want to do when you're truly, truly, truly happy, that doing nothing at all is like the archetypical example of self-realization. If you are happy enough to be able to be happy with nothing and truly be happy, then that's proof. That's for other people to follow, to be inspired by. That's the story. That's not. If you reach that state or you approach that state, I'm speaking from, I'm doing like a literary analysis on enlightenment here, so don't read into this. Think about it. If you truly became perfect in that sense, it wouldn't matter what you did. You could have whatever feelings you wanted, as long as you were perfect about having them. Like, you could be. I don't want to preach to you about this. It's only pertinent to how do I feel? How do I feel? I feel a sense of joy that overshadows the significance of anything else in my life. And I can't share it with anyone, or I don't think I don't know. I haven't tried. I don't share it with anyone, for whatever reason. And so if I want to like commune with people and like be on their wavelength, or like, do you know what I mean? Not be a total fucking space cadet. And I've seen plenty of those people in my life, believe me. most of them are wannabes. What was I saying? If I want to be with someone, then if I want to mingle, then I have to stop being ultimately happy. Or, I don't know. But it doesn't matter because I'm ultimately happy. And I just go right back to being, like, oh God. I'm really regretting talking about this right now. Do I know everything? Am I like ready to like shoot fireballs and like lightning? No. Am I gonna levitate? I don't think so.